Robby Keene is one of my favorite characters of all time, and this includes all shows, by the way. With the end of Cobra Kai, we finally got the conclusion of Robby as a character, and one of the most fascinating things about the show was always speculating on what these characters will become once they finish high school. As for 99% of the show, these kids were in high school. Juniors and seniors, to be exact. Robby's ending has been very polarizing, however, but me personally, I heavily disagree. But before we talk about Robby's ending, we have to understand what he went through in Part 3. In Part 3, we see Robby with a huge struggle to finish his remaining credits to graduate high school. Since he missed a year or two since he got expelled, and then I think the first few years he just wasn't in school, he is missing graduation credits. And we see that this is clearly taking a toll on him. And the counselor tells Robby that he is unlikely to go pro in his sport, which by the way is crazy to say to a world championship semi-finalist. Robby sees his options in which trade school does not look like it's for him. Robby struggles to accept the fact that he might possibly have to live a life similar to his father's after losing a tournament. We don't see Robby for a little bit after this, but when he shows up at the LaRusso Auto, he hears that the tournament is back on. This reignites the fighting spark in Robby, knowing he will get a rematch against Axel and a chance to become world champion. Next up, we see Robby training for his big fight against Axel. His Part 2 self had a 12% chance of beating Axel according to the Binary Bros, so Robby gets to work. After sparring with Miguel Kovacevic, Robby looks like he thinks he's doing pretty well, but in actuality his chances have plummeted by like 3 times. Once again, Robby slightly spirals for a bit, telling Miguel that he gave it everything he got last time, but it was just not good enough. Thankfully, his brother Miguel was there for him, motivating him to come back to his senses and to get back to work since numbers are for pussies. He says that when he beat Robby, Robby never gave up, so why is he giving up now? We clearly see how in this scene, Robby is not a person who gives up, even when the odds seem entirely against him. He never backs down from the fight, like when he lost to Miguel or lost to Eli. He bounced back and became Miyagi-Do's world championship captain. Anyways, they go back to sparring, and Robby's chances significantly boost up now that he's adapting to Miguel Kovacevic. This gives him a spark of confidence. Now at the Sekai Taikai, Robby has a rematch with Axel for the world champion title. Since Cobra Kai doesn't have a fighter anymore, this is basically the finals. Robby and Axel step on the mat, and as the fight begins, Robby already gets the upper hand, scoring 1 point. However, Axel changes his style to something Robby, nor Hawk, or Dimitri have ever seen before. The cool thing about this scene, which a lot of people gloss over, is that Robby was a formidable enough opponent for Axel to pull out something that he clearly does not do in tournament fights, as not even Dimitri and Hawk could find info on it. The round ends with Axel up 6-1, and Robby is losing a little bit of hope again, before his original sensei, Daniel, gives him a pep talk. Daniel talks about how Robby has never failed to adapt. He stood up for what he thought was right, even when it seemed like everything was against him. He asks Robby if he can adapt again, and Robby agrees and steps on the mat for round 2. This round, Robby and Axel trade blows, with Robby doing infinitely better than he was doing before. The round ends with it being 11-6 Axel, with a very quickly closing Robby. Robby gives Axel a confident smirk after this round, believing he can adapt more and close this point gap in 1 round. His senseis tell him to go all out. However, when the 3rd round starts, Axel tragically injures Robby's knee, ending his really good Sekai Taikai run. So close yet so far to being a world champion. He was put in the exact same spot as he was before when Hawk injured him, but this time it was worse. This was practically all he had left in his mind, blowing his opportunity to become something really hurt for him. At this point in season 1, all that was in Robby's mind was the fact that he lost. He might have been able to win against Miguel, but he lost. However, in a poetic moment of character development, Robby realizes that he was the true winner. He could have probably won against Axel. Even though the world never got to see that, he isn't mad, because in his mind, he fought with honor, and he was the real winner. Then he got his dad back, he reconciled with his girlfriend, who said that she was going to delete the Iron Dragons, which must have felt nice coming from him. Even though his Sekai Taikai run is over, his girl still has her big fight. Zara does get into Tori's head, especially after the Robby mention, showing that Robby is like really the only person left on this world in her mind that cares about her other than her brother, so Zara saying this must have hurt. Round 1 ends with Zara winning 5-0, and Tori is furiously on her toes about the situation. Johnny and Miguel try to give her a solution, but nobody knows better on how to boost her confidence than Robby Keene. Robby tells her he loves her for the first time. In Tori's mind, Zara is wrong. Someone does love her, and that's all she needed to hear. And I advise you watch this next part with caution because the ass beating Tori delivers to this absolute fraudulent former world champion after the love amp is crazy. Tori steps onto the mat again before proceeding to literally win her match like 44-5, closing a massive gap on Cobrakai and now being a world champion. Thanks to Robby, even though he couldn't be atop the podium with her, his girlfriend was, which makes him happier than if it was just himself, knowing Robby's personality. His brother Miguel and his dad Johnny end up winning their matches, giving Cobrakai the win, and Robby feels peace within himself again. After the tournament, Robby signs his first autograph with Tori before getting a 6-figure contract to a martial arts marketing company, which is life-changing. He literally just exited high school, and now he's going to be making 6 figures, almost 7, along with his girlfriend, and now has locked in a good future career in professional karate.
That was the thing too, is like when they give us this contract at the end,
Yeah.
I remember reading it, in my mind I was like, oh, they're gonna give Robby like 10 grand, you know what I mean? Just do whatever. And they like did it, and my reaction when you see us look at the contract is my real reaction, because we look at it and I opened it up and it was like $750,000, and I literally went, Our Robby's like, he went from nothing to almost having $1 million. Dude
crazy.
is going.
Robby's character has been full of ups and downs. People have always wondered where he would end up, and a lot of people thought that he would probably go to the route of being a sensei or still go to college, which I think is plausible. But I think continuing his career as a professional fighter and marketeer was the only right way to do it. People have been saying that Robby's ending is unsatisfactory, but I disagree. Yes, while I do agree that the tournament loss, the way it was pulled off, was a little dumb, it gave Robby a full circle moment, which I believe he might not have gotten if he didn't lose like this. In Season 1, he was put in the exact same place, but this time, he knows that he was the real winner, and nobody can take that away from him, even if he didn't win the trophy. Also, people love forgetting that he literally got a 6-figure contract to be a martial arts marketeer and promotional model type of guy, and this was confirmed by Tanner Buchanan. While everyone is eating away in college, this man's gonna have like the craziest net worth out of all of them. On top of that, it's not like he has to quit fighting. The employer said that the world would love to watch those two compete together, so it's pretty clear that for Robby Keene and Tori Nichols, there will be more of a competing career as well to come, and always a chance at winning something big. Robby's character arc never depended on winning the tournament. While it obviously adds layers to his character if he did win, the premise of Robby was to stop Cobra Kai. He has done it basically twice already by leading the charge against Silver as well as beating Quan. So like, you know, the show started with Daniel and Robby trying to close Cobra Kai, and you know, he has done that practically twice. Beating the Iron Dragons was unfortunately not his destiny, but that's okay, because he went from a delinquent at the start of the show to now a World Championship semi-finalist with a 6-figure contract to compete, inspire, and model. Robby's conclusion was satisfactory in my opinion, and while I would have loved him to win, I still do think the injury was super redundant because it's just a freaking repeat of what happened before, I can't lie that in the end, the writers did a good job of closing out Robby's character. Where Robby Keene will be in the future, only time will tell, with potential spin-offs being introduced. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this character analysis. I had a lot of fun doing this. And, you know, let me know if I should do more. Anyways guys, eat your green, stay healthy. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.